Welcome to the latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm on in Chalk and Balloon. We've got longtime fools Lou Whiteman and Jason Hall giving a 1 to 10 rating to a top 200 stock in the primary Hidden Gems database. It's Nucor, ticker symbol NUE. Rate the strength of Nucor's business first, including factors like industry, competition. 10 is invincible, a 1 is hopeless. Jason's at a 6.5, Lou is at a 6.
Yeah, so this is North America's largest and arguably best steel producer. Jason, we can argue that at the margin, I think. Pioneer in electronic arc furnaces, these mini mills, lower cost, better for the environment, although it is still steel. It is greenish, though, with a recycling model. Downside here is there aren't a lot of moats here. As I say, arguably the best because there's others who do this well. International competition is intense and steel demand is cyclical. Being one of the best in North America doesn't necessarily mean much in the global market with steel. So great company, a 10 among steel players, but I could still only get to a 6 overall.
Yeah, I just went with 6.5 because I wanted to be higher than you, Lou. I think that all the things that you said are true, but over time, I think building the mini mill business with that variable cost structure, plus the vertical integration with the scrap buying, it's also a pig iron producer. Those things are good, but the other thing I think we forget that I gave them that little half point of credit for, honestly, is they're so smart about the balance sheet. So when everybody else is just trying to keep the lights on, they can go on the offensive.
For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Both of you have 7s, Lou.
Yeah, so Leon Topalian has been with the company since the mid-90s. He worked for them on 3 continents, and he's been CEO since 2020. So this is the steady hand at a wheel in a business that I think needs it with all these cycles. You need to know what you're doing here. All those downsides I mentioned, he can't control really any of those. As I mentioned before, with those, I don't know, but he can make sure Nucor remains the reliable provider and, as Jason said, is ready for opportunities. Also seems to have figured out the succession thing. I don't know if anything's official, but they did name Stephen Lackin president last year, which I think is a good choice. So, hey, no complaints.
Yeah, I think corporate culture and the playbook that they stick to when it comes to succession planning is as good as it gets. Topalian picked up right where John Ferriola, who was the CEO for a long time, left off, who picked up from the CEO that was a longtime CEO before Ferriola. So they're very, very good at making sure they have the right people in place to continue running this business for many years into the future.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes, 7's all around, Lou.
Yeah, this is extremely fine. Really? I mean, isn't that where we are? I mean, the most recent quarter was a mix. There was margin compression. There was volume mix, but that's what happens in this business. Even in a block quarter, this is still a good operator for the steel industry. So there's nothing really to worry about. There is more than 3 times debt than cash, which isn't great. But again, I don't think it's a surprise or a panic. And they've also been investing heavily in the business, which I think is good. I'm okay with it. Note, share count down 23%. Over last 5 years. I like that. So fine.
Yeah. The balance sheet is leveraged, but you see this kind of leverage in capital heavy industries. But again, they have that variability on expenses across the cycle that their competitors don't generally have. That lets them keep the leverage ratios in check. And they actually have brought their debt to assets ratio down a lot over the past decade or so. And that means more flexibility when there's opportunity, when everybody else is freaking out. They have the ability with that balance sheet to go on the hunt. And the financial profile of this business is the reason that's the case, because management has maintained that.
All right, Jason, let's talk valuation. How well will Nucor stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, a 1 is a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I think 5 to 10% is probably what we get. Safety score of 5, which probably seems really low for a business that's been such a wonderful compounder over the long term. But look, the stock is a little bit expensive right now. And it's more expensive when you think about the fact that it's coming through a period where demand has been good. And the past year, it's had basically a free license to raise prices. That's the ugly secret of tariffs on things like steel. You put those tariffs on the international producers, the U.S. producers just raise their prices up to that tariff price. It doesn't necessarily result in better pricing for anybody. It's a very resilient business, but profits and the stock are going to be subject to wide swings in weak demand periods. So it's not a zero risk stock, even for a long-term investment.
Yeah. The stock shares are up like 30% since October, which kind of feeds into my 5 to 10. Again, kind of just steadies the course for here. Safety, I'm at a 6. Everything Jason said. I will say that I think, Nucor is just safer than most. But again, 6 is a pretty high score for this business, and I think I can justify that, but I can't go any higher.
The Dan Kaplinger special is pretty high for steel, right? Thank you to both Lou and to Jason. They've given Nucor a meh overall score of 6.2 out of 10. Again, good for a steel producer, I guess. For Toppits, Jason prefers Steel Dynamics. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Houlihan Lokey. Till then, Fool on.
All right, from credit cards to steel, we are really touring the world today.